See how this is going to work here. This
Kathy,
is
are you sharing your LinkedIn link?
Oh, let me get that for you.
Oh, there you go. Cut the volume off this, though. Put the volume all the way down. Awesome. We are live. This technology stuff is working. It's pretty cool. All right, I'll go ahead and prep. Let's go check if anyone else is waiting to get online. And if they jump on, they can. Let's see here. And every once in a while, I'll slide down to see if anyone else joins. But we have an event today, and Lisa, I don't have the link to the post that we did previously that has these slides on it. So when appropriate, I don't have that on the sheet. You can go ahead and add that since we're redoing this. We pushed the show back until today. Let me go ahead and add. I want to see the chat here. Oh, look at that. We're getting a lot of people. If you guys click on the chat over here, Siri, you're supposed to be on the other link. Siri, you should get a link to jump on if you want. You don't have to, though, but you're a paid member.
I think the private chat is different from the public chat.
Oh yeah, you can't chat with them. You can view it and verbally talk to them. It's kind of limitation of the API on it. Yeah. So Lisa, why don't you do this? Why don't you go to Siri's profile, send her a message, and give her the link directly. If she can jump on. I don't know if she can jump on after we start. Who knows about this technology stuff? All right, but let's go ahead and get started. And a couple of things that we're going to do today, just to let everyone know that this is not my first session. It's session 3 of 24, but it's the first session we're having. We thought the LinkedIn profile would be the most interesting and impactful one to really talk about. And we have a paid mastermind with some of the people that are on the group here that you can see in the little video portion of the chat. And then we have an event probably 2 times a week. On Tuesdays is the actual lesson, and this is what we're doing now. And on Thursdays, we have an open session, more for consultation. And I actually will give homework and stuff like that. So first of all, I want to say thank you, everyone, for showing up. I've been nerve-wracked a little bit because of technology concerns last time. And now it looks like it's working. So that's a very awesome thing. So I'm pretty happy about that. We have a couple of door prizes to give out. But before we do any of those things, I love to see where everyone's coming from. And I'll start with the internal group. Kathy, where are you from? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm a franchise consultant, and I own some networking groups here locally.
Awesome. Adam, what do you have going on?
I am from Los Angeles, California, and I have a B2B lead acquisition agency.
Awesome. Jamie.
Hi, I am from Silver Spring, Maryland, and I am an integrative wellness coach. And that is helping people in a mindful way from their inner well-being to their outer presence.
Very nice. Kevin.
So I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I help companies with organizational efficiency and leverage EOS.
Perfect. And I'm from Georgia, but I live in Los Angeles for the moment. And in 2 or 3 months, I'll be living in Las Vegas. So I've been traveling. And for everyone else in the group, yeah, please add where you're from. Oh, we got Tammy from Maine. We have Tasha from Chicago. Milani. Oh, she's from New York. That's where you're from. Yeah, that's right. We had a long discussion on that. We even got people in Amsterdam, Ita from South Africa, Atlanta, my home stopping grounds for quite a while. We have Tammy from Maine, and then Helene from Los Angeles. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining. And we also got some more people from Georgia that's coming in. Admet from New Jersey. Okay. Well, today should be pretty interesting because we are talking really about the first thing that people see. If you send a connection invite to someone, or if someone is actually looking for some of the services or want to network with someone like you, there's about a 50% chance that they're going to look at your profile. So I would say it's probably one of the first most important steps that you need to get right. It's not the only step, but it's one of the first and most important steps. And for the panel we have here, for the mastermind, please feel free to stop me if you have any questions. I have quite a few slides here, but I'll go through this. And for everyone else, if you want a copy of these slides, type in your chat slides, and then in a DM, we'll send you a link to the slides. And I'm trying to click to the next screen here. There you go. All right, so this is the kind of agenda for today. Oh, it's a little lag here. Okay, so we want to talk about why your LinkedIn important, why your profile is so important, and then what makes it valuable. Elements of that is your human story, providing value, and that's not value to us, that's value to other people. Identifying your tribe, and then using the repetitive technique, which is a sales technique, to ingrain an idea in someone's head. Developing consistent branding. We'll take a top-down approach from a few individual profiles, and that's going to be very helpful. And then a couple of bonus items is talking about SEO and how to create your LinkedIn profile to be SEO optimized. And it's SEO optimized for two areas. Number one, from Google. Google has searched the entirety of LinkedIn, and of course, the LinkedIn searches itself. Two other bonus items are going to be the LinkedIn newsletter, as well as the LinkedIn live events. Oh, we have two more people jumping on. All right, Shri. I'll say Siri. I do that every time. And we have Bentley. And Bentley is such a rich name, isn't it?
Yeah, my mom had high hopes.
Yeah, you're doing well. Do you look in the mirror like, I'm Bentley?
Read my post tomorrow and you'll understand how hilarious that is.
Okay, I will. All right, well, thanks for joining. I just scrolled down and added you guys there. Okay, just a brief thing about LinkedIn. There's about 1 billion professional members on LinkedIn with a B.
Or members.
Yeah, it's huge. And I think it's 12.5% are active all the time. They say 50% are active daily, but it's really about 12.5%. But that's a lot of people. So I never believe in competition. I believe in collaboration. You don't want to fight over stuff. You just want to help individuals because there's plenty of business to really go around. And of course, LinkedIn is not just for B2B type businesses. It's a lot for finding jobs, and it's a lot for like just building networks and resources. And so the first thing I really want to talk about when you're developing your profile is like, what's your story? And there's thousands, if not millions of people that may do something similar to you. So if I want to be part of a model agency and they were all blondes, I would want to be the brunette, So it's like, how do you stand out? How do you have a story that relates to that individual? What makes you special? And it doesn't have to be something fantastic. It just has to be relatable. Like, can I believe this person? Do I understand their story? For example, on my profile, I talk about that I was in the United States Army. I talk about, I'm a single father. I talk about, some of my things that I didn't do well, and I turned it around for my business. For example, I was what we call a terrible dater in real life. And it's kind of hilarious, but it's true because I have type A traits, and that means I'm very direct. And it works well in certain environments, but in general social environments, it doesn't. So I had to learn how to date properly and apply that method to LinkedIn. And see, on LinkedIn, you're dating businesses. And how do I slow date? How do I date these people so I really get to know them and I understand what their agendas are and what they need, and go on from there. So it's really about being you not being heard, but hearing the other people. And here is an example, and I don't think you can read it. I'll just skip through both of these. But what they do talk about is the story I just mentioned, and one is my one of my clients, Craig Bruce, and the other is me. And so what I'm gonna do is I'll go share my screen. Or matter of fact, I'll go ahead and let me see here. I'll go ahead and just talk about it. So on mine, and this is the actual about section. And people say, well, no one reads my about section. I don't think it's important. I will tell you now, the buyers look at your about section. So if 95 or 90% of the people don't look at your about section, the 10% of the people that actually do are potential networking and people that you can actually work with. And I just tell them I thank them for my story, and I tell them a little bit about my background, which is kind of funny. My mother is from Switzerland. She has blonde hair and green eyes, and my dad is from the Philippines. So he's like really Asian. And so I was known as the top Swiss Filipino LinkedIn guy. And I put that in there and just to throw some humor in there. And it doesn't really mean anything, but it just kind of makes you laugh. And it shows that I have a bit of a personality. I have kind of dry humor. But then I get into the nitty gritty and tell them about my background, because I want the people that are reading this to know that I'm an actual real person. And hey, I have certain things that they can relate towards. So I generally want to work with people like me in their ethics and what they believe in. And those are the things, that's the kind of energy I want to put out. And so I show them, my professional background, who I work with, and then also the things I didn't do well, which I mentioned previously. And so when you're designing your LinkedIn profile, you don't want to forget your story. And there's other methods as well. Some people want to be purely professional, and that works, and they do more of a resume a format. And that's not bad. It really depends on your audience. If your audience really needs to get to know you in order to work with you, you want to go more personalization. If you want to be just super professional and highlight your bullet points because that's how you want to be presented, and that's fine too, because maybe your audience is a little bit different. The other thing is that you want to always have the mindset of coming from a place of service, and that's providing value. And I mentioned before, it's not what's valuable to me, it's what's valuable to the audience. So what's valuable to you is maybe they buy your stuff, but what's valuable to them, they may come to you because they have an ancillary issue that perhaps you can point them in the right direction, or you can solve some of their pain. So if you can lessen their pain, you have made a friend. And if someone wants to work with you versus, 2 or 3 other people, they're going to work with the person they actually like, and trust. So your product is not 80%. Your product is really 20%. Them knowing, liking, and trusting you is that 80% there. And of course, feel free to chime in, because we do have a few experts on the panel. And Cherie does some excellent stuff for video stuff. And so she comes from a perspective of understanding that personality and bringing that pop out so people know who they are and how to provide value. Suri, do you have any comments on providing value?
I would say or add to this, because what you have is really good, is what's the objective of the individual or company that you want to work with? Because they have certain things that they want to hit. So if you understand what they want, then the type of content that you're going to be putting out is going to speak to them. Because a lot of times we think it's about the pain points only, but sometimes it could be, well, they want to hit this certain sales goal so they can get bonuses. And what does the bonus mean to the individual who's receiving it? So that's just something to keep in mind when you think about value.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry, I'm clicking buttons here and there's like a 10-second delay here. All right. Well, that didn't work out well. Okay. Yeah, so how to improve on your value. I have three major items here. Well, you got to think they're networking because there's something about you that may lead to something later. So a lot of times these transactions aren't instant. Matter of fact, the vast majority of the time they're not instant. In relationships, if you went to this partner and saying, "Hey, I know we just met, but I would love to get married with you and have a white picket fence," and it's a little scary, right? You might, as a guy, you might get slapped in the face, and you might say someone that says yes, and it may be the wrong person. Can you imagine, doing that, and it's just like the nightmare person for you that's tearing your life up? You don't want that. You want to work with people that kind of build some trust there. The second item is they may have a problem or an obstacle that you can solve. And again, this is about lessening the pain. And if someone came to me, and said, "Hey, Troy, I need you to help me with this email problem." I'm not an email expert. I'm very good with email, but I'm not specifically an email expert. So if they have deliverability issues, I would say this sounds like the problem, but this is someone else that you need to talk to. Whether I get the business or not, it's not important. And you have to have that mindset coming from a place of service. And the third is the dreaded, and I have the little emoji with the little throw up there if you can't see it. It's they want to sell you something. And those are the obvious people that want to shove this in your face. And that's how they perceive providing value, and it's not. I hate to tell this to everyone that's called spam. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to throw our links out the first time that we meet, and that's probably not beneficial for any of us. So when we provide value, we have to figure out how do we present this value on a profile, because what we're doing today is talking about profiles. All right. So I think things are being blocked here. All right. Another thing too is on your profile, you need to attract the right people. You need to figure out who are your people, what's your tribe, where the people are going to hang out with you, where the people are going to support you, where the people are going to be your customers, are they going to say good things about you? Majority of your business is going to come from word of mouth. So even if you work to get a customer, it's much easier to get a second customer if someone else is talking good things about you. They're recommending you, and that's a much easier transaction. So if someone else toots your horn, it's more valuable than you tooting your own horn. So you need to have that mindset is, if I'm helping people, will they, provide good words and goodwill so I can get another client, another happy client. And I got 3 sections right here: clarity, story, and improve. So you're the expert in the things that you do, but not everyone is an expert. So you have to design your profile at a 3rd grade level. And not saying that everyone is slow, but they just don't understand your level of expertise. So you can't use a lot of fancy words. You can't use ideas that are foreign to those individuals on there. Let's see. Oh, okay. All right. And if you're not speaking, what I can do is ask you if you can cut your mic off if you're not speaking. The other thing is story, and we talked about that. You know, how do you personally relate to you? Do people actually like you? Yeah, it is important. It's important to people to like you. You may have a personality that's very direct, and the people who appreciate that will like you. But the people that you need to attract they have to want to work with you because they have other choices, you know, and you want to be that best choice on there. You know, what commonalities do you have? What ways do you work with others and that sort of thing? And proof is a pretty simple thing. What do other people say about you? What are their results? Do you have testimonials that show that? Things like that you can really add to the profile, and I'll show you in a little bit later on that. Okay, so the first thing, once I understand who my tribe is, and I understand how to speak to them, like really at a third grade level. So I'm not trying to be fancy. I'm just trying to be clear to the people who need what I have. I try to be repetitive. And when I say repetitive, I don't mean literally repeat it. I mean repeating the same concept and idea. For example, your LinkedIn profile has these elements, and these are different areas where you can add repetitive motion. The banner. So your LinkedIn banner is the most visual thing they see and the first thing they see. And so you want to place your message in there. The profile video, which I believe, if correct me if I'm wrong, everyone, I believe they just removed that for the people who didn't use it. But you still have the audio. I like the profile video personally. I kept mine, so I'm definitely keeping mine on there. But if you haven't used it, they probably removed that one feature. But you have an audio recording in there, and usually they use it for name pronunciation. I don't, unless you want to say your name first, but you want to speak on 3 points on some of that repetitive stuff. And then you had the headline. That's another chance to say it again. So say it again, say it again. And you could change the wording as long as the idea is the same. So people, when they read from top to bottom, they get a sense of who you are, and it's reinforced in a way that doesn't sound fake. It sounds very natural, and it becomes their idea. The about section is another huge section that they go into. The featured area is where you can show some visuals, and these could be testimonials that kind of support what you're doing, even your job titles, and it can go on, but generally you want at least 4 points of repetitive action from top to bottom. That's very easy to read. And what I'll do probably is go to my LinkedIn profile and give you an example of that. Matter of fact, I'll do that right now, and let me see if I can share the screen without crashing this browser here. All right, this did work. No, I'm on the wrong page, though. It's bringing the LinkedIn Live here. But here I talk about it. I tell them, and we don't see it now since we're on the LinkedIn Live. I didn't even think about that. We tell them again. I tell them within the video. Those are 3 areas. I also tell them, I don't use this mic to tell them. I use it as an Easter egg. And so it's kind of funny when you get a chance, go to my profile and click on that. You'll get a laugh. And I always try to insert a little bit of humor. So I'm not very tall. I'm only 5'7", but I put this is where you have your gender reveal, I call it. And I just use it to say identify as I'm 5'6", identify as 6'5", right? And people may not get that, but I'm not very tall, but I'm a huge guy in the whole LinkedIn realm. That's what I'm putting out there anyway, And so you want to have people laugh a little bit. So 1 out of 20 people see that, Another thing, so if I tell them here, I tell them within the video, I have an opportunity to tell them again and tell them again. And then underneath here, I have featured stuff. And this is the actual live right now playing. It's kind of funny to do screen capture here. And in the about section, let's see here, you have the opportunity to tell them again. And you notice in this section right here, I tell my story, but I also have some bullets as well. So I have kind of a blended style where I'm telling them a little bit of my personality, what I'm doing, who I am, and then I also tell them who I'm not, and then what areas do I support. So I kind of blended it a bit because a lot of people need some of those stats in there, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's something I wanted to show. Let's go back to the live to end that. Okay, we're back on the screen here. All right, so this is the top-down approach, and there's several slides to this. And let's go from the top. It's the banner. We talked about it. It's really an opportunity for you to brand what you're doing and to visualize not just the message, but what kind of look and feel that you have there. And it's really one of the largest visual areas in the first visual area they do. Another thing is your profile photo. A lot of people will not smile. They'll be like super serious and stuff. And, if you want to make friends, you got to smile, And I had a hard time with that, believe it or not, because I came from a kind of a rough background and we're not used to smiling. And so when I first started smiling, I looked kind of weird, like a creep or something, like something was wrong with me. So I would say that practice smiling and just be happy because you want to attract people, not repel them. Your headline is a huge part. And again, everything is SEO driven. You want to use as many characters as you can. That might be your style. Some people use less, but I like to put a little bit of personality in there and main points of interest. And again, I use that for one of the items to tell them again, and tell them again sales method. And then, your info, there's a little info link in there and people never fill it out. Just fill it out because they really want to contact you. They'll click on that info link and they'll see all those links. You may have several websites you do. You can even put your booking link in there as well. And below that info is another opportunity to put another link that could be your booking link. And that's where it's most often used. So there's a little hesitation here on the computer. Okay, so your link, that's what we just talked about. LinkedIn gives you the opportunity to add your booking link right then and there. So when they scroll down underneath your not your about section, but underneath your headline, they see your link and you could say, schedule some time here. I get probably about 15 to 20% of my meetings right through that link there. I think we have a couple people. And if you have any questions, feel free in the audience to put it in the chat. And for the people in here, just verbalize it, and then I'll go ahead and answer that. Verifications. This is a new thing here. At first, I thought it was a paid thing, and it's not. What it is, it just verifies who you are, where you work, that sort of thing. Not a bad thing. There's a lot of fake LinkedIn profiles out there. And if you have your profile verified, it just makes people feel more comfortable. And that's my viewpoint on it. I want people to feel that, that's important. Let's see here. Let's see, creator mode. Yeah, this is pretty much a must. This allows you to have your LinkedIn Live. It allows you to have your featured section and a couple other things too. And it also gives one step to actually slow down the connection process. So if they look at your profile, your connection is not right there, have a chance to follow you first. And so a lot of times you want people to do that. So they're just not connecting and selling. You want to kind of reduce those steps for them to get to know you better. Let's see the features section.
Hey, Troy, I'm sorry to interrupt you. You mentioned the verified thing. I've had an account for a while as well. How do you do that if you've already had an account? I see that with some new people where their account is verified, but I don't know how to go and do it. Do you know?
Well, on your LinkedIn profile, a lot of times they'll ask you if you want to be verified. And if you don't, I go to the help, and the way I did it, because it was on it for a while and I didn't do it and it went away. I went to the help and I asked how to be verified, and there was a link on there how to do that. You know, so I think afterwards I'll look at that again and to see if that's an option in there. But you want to do that, and you want to cut on creator mode because it allows you to show some of the visuals of your other posts and other things that are important to you. LinkedIn, although is heavily designed for search, once they get to your profile, it's 70% visual. They need to see the wording to say, they look at the banner. And so people are visual creatures. So you want to have that creator mode on so you can have that featured section in there. And there's a couple of tricks to the trade. Generally on your profile on the computer, you'll see the three newest featured items. And if you remove all of them, if you just have one, and that one featured item will be larger. So depending on what you're trying to showcase, on that, there's not one way to do that. But for example, I put about this LinkedIn event because it's important to me, and there's a lot of people that are registering. So it's a couple does a couple of things. It allows people saying, "Hey, I'm doing a show, and the show is doing pretty well because it got a lot of interested people, and it has an interesting subject." So what are you pushing, out there? What do you want people to know what you're doing? So that's what the feature section is really about. Oh my goodness, this is a little painful. There you go. All right. So we're talking about the about, experience, education, and projects. And then I'll share my screen again and go through these, but we'll go through the slides first. See the about section. Okay, as mentioned before, you may think it's not important that people don't read about it, and most people don't. They don't read the about section. Oh, Adam has an answer for you on the private chat. Bentley. Yeah. So the about section is probably is the catalyst for people making a decision to continue to engage with you. So if they're looking at your stuff, the stuff looks good. If they look at their about section, they're really interested. And again, it's a catalyst for moving on to the next step. Experience is all SEO driven as well. What LinkedIn tends to do is LinkedIn will match your profile up with other profiles similar. And that's probably not what you want. You probably want to match your profile up with people that you want to engage with. So if you have a business, you don't want to always talk to other businesses that are in a similar field. That kind of defeats the purpose. What you want to do on those cases to make it a little more SEO friendly and to allow LinkedIn to expand to other businesses that you're targeting, you want to adjust your experience titles. And I think you have X amount of characters you can do that. But usually I talk about the people that I'm supporting. So I just say founder of this, supporting this type of person, this type of person, this type of person. And it really actually opens up the ability for you to engage with others. Education, also a very important portion in there. You want to make sure that's filled out. Projects is an interesting thing. I kind of feel that projects have been kind of taken over by, a couple of the other sections. Projects are an older section, but again, everything is SEO driven. If you have some special projects that you want to always have on there, definitely put it in there because it adds a little flavor and a little personality of the different things that you've worked on. All right. So 404. skills. That's always nice. People send me, my skills all the time. Personally, I don't think it's that important. What I do think is important is the recommendations. What are people saying about you, and why are they saying it? And if I try to get a recommendation, I kill two birds with one stone. And what I try to do is I say, hey, I would love a recommendation. Would you want a quick Zoom video on that? And that way I can get a video, I can get a recommendation, and then I can also create a post around that, you know. And Kathy, go ahead. Go ahead and speak your mind.
I was just saying that for every section of the LinkedIn profile, I try to make the one or two first lines just as meaningful and as concise and important to what I do as possible. So that if nobody scrolls, they can get a little snapshot of what they need to know about me.
Definitely, and that's why it's important to develop your banner correctly and your title and that sort of thing. You know, we have honors and awards and organizations. I think that's more important for job seekers than people that are driving B2B businesses, but also very important too. It adds some additional flavor and personality to what you're doing. Don't really have any more comments on that. I'm trying to push to the next screen here. I think next time I'll just share the screen. Okay, so just to recap, the entirety of LinkedIn, Google has searched everything. They searched a billion profile. They search posts, but to a lesser degree. Posts do not get as much longevity through Google. They match you based on the profile content, and that's one thing we talked about. And it's updated all the time. So you got new stuff on your profile, you should update it, because that way LinkedIn and Google can update it as well, and it gets ranked higher. So anything that's stagnant for a certain point of time ends up dropping on ranks. All right,
So Troy, would you recommend, even if you're not substantially changing the content, but would you just recommend that people go in and just make little minute changes here and there, just so it kind of juggles the
yeah,
SEO
I think
a bit?
you should do this even monthly, seeing like, what do I have new going on? Could I say this in a better way? You know, can I add something different on my featured section? You know, those things are searched on there. So yeah, I would recommend keep it fresh. You know, a couple of bonus slides we have here, and I'm going through this pretty quickly. It's only 11:34, so well, my time anyway. LinkedIn newsletters. Now, I was recently on an event with another expert, and they say they don't get much traction. Well, it really depends. I have over 3,000 people who subscribe to my newsletter, but I have about 25,000 followers, or whatever that is. So LinkedIn newsletter has some very specific benefits. Now, if you don't have an audience, yeah, you might not want to do this as of yet. You might want to have a large enough audience to support this. So I'll tell you my story. I created a LinkedIn newsletter, and I did it on a Friday evening, which is like the worst time you can ever do it, right? Because no one wants to see anything on it. And I put it out, and I created a LinkedIn newsletter, like the most interesting people and things to know, right? I was trying to create something because I always interviews, so those interesting people, and I'm always finding out new ways of doing stuff, right? For converting and talking and running a video in this scenario, and this one converts better. And I said, this would be a great title. And so I put that title out there, and within an hour, I had 349 subscribers. And then it was the weekend. I checked it on Monday. By Monday, I had 1,100 subscribers. And now I have, I don't know, right under 3,000, I think. I'm not really sure. But you can definitely take a look at that. Lisa, if you can, share my LinkedIn newsletter in there, and you guys can subscribe to it. take a look at it, see if there's anything anything of any importance to it. And if people have questions on LinkedIn newsletter, let me know. But I'll give you the highlights. What LinkedIn does for you. Well, if you have a good network, 3,000, 5,000, 10,000, whatever it is, it may be worth doing because LinkedIn does all the hard work. They will email the first time you do it. They will email your entire network that you have a newsletter. They will also put it in the what is that part of the LinkedIn? The notifications when a new newsletter is out. You have the ability to put it in your featured section. You have the ability to support. So with 3,000 people, I could talk about my event. I can talk about this person. I can drive that traffic in a way that makes sense. And also, newsletters are more evergreen. So they can be pointed. They're not like a post is done, it's forgotten pretty easily. But because there's less newsletter and more content put in, it's more of an evergreen content. So one thing I've done with newsletters, I had a series of posts. And a post was about, I don't know, content, for example, right? I had several series. And you create these series of content, you can put it all together in a newsletter, and then you have a library. So again, you can use this in a very creative way that converts well. So it could be used as a top of funnel method.
And the other thing that's nice about that newsletter, Troy, is that it's doing it on email, not on LinkedIn. So you've got people who don't go to LinkedIn very often, but they're going to see your newsletter in their email.
Yeah, and they go to newsletter as well as your as well as the notifications. Yeah. So they don't really push this. It could be a negative thing if you don't have any followers. So you don't want to waste your time. You want to position yourself the right way. When you need it. Yeah. So if you have 100 followers or something on your LinkedIn profile, this is probably not something you want to invest in right now. Does anyone have any recommendations what the minimum amount of people to start a LinkedIn newsletter would be? My guess would be 3,000. That's just my gut guess. No? Sheree, speak up. You're shaking your head.
You can start anytime. Like, don't get caught in a number. Just start. If you want to start a live show, start. If you want to start an email list, start. If you want to start a podcast, start. If you want to start a newsletter, start. And as you keep putting it out on a weekly, consistent basis, people will look forward to it.
One thing I would agree on that is these LinkedIn Lives. You can start them things anytime. And they pop up.
The question I had for you is that when you first do that LinkedIn newsletter,
someone is having some. I'm sorry, we're getting feedback. If you're not speaking, then cut your mic off. Yeah.
I was gonna say, when you first do that LinkedIn newsletter, it sends it out to your entire network. Mm-hmm. When somebody new connects, does it still send it to them? Because if not, I don't know if you'd want to do it and then you don't get that invitation later on.
It will first it will. When you follow somebody, it automatically sends to subscribe to their newsletter. But because the newsletter turns into a post, if people are checking out your posts, then they're going to see that newsletter. So then they're going to be intrigued to say like, hey, what is this?
You're absolutely right. Yeah, that's true. When you create a newsletter, it does create a post on that. Just like when we do this restream, this LinkedIn Live, there is a replay, and that replay gets at least 1,000 views. Mine does, because I kind of collected those people on that individual channel. There's so much that can be done. So I would argue it, Sheree. I would wait till I have an X amount for the newsletter, but the LinkedIn Live I would do anytime, because I wouldn't want the most impact at once. But that's just my thing. Now, speaking of LinkedIn Live and LinkedIn events, those are kind of the same but two different things. You have a LinkedIn event option where you can actually get registrations and emails and stuff through the company page. And a LinkedIn Live can be done on a personal or company page. And it's much more, it's less steps, if you will. But the idea, I'm going to give you a couple just general ideas on this here. Number one, with streaming, since we have multiple people in here, everyone in here has an option to add their streaming channels, right? And I think a few of you did. But if we did this prior and say, hey, can you register your streaming channel, a few days beforehand, we had a meeting, you could literally, push this out to a lot of different channels. So I have 3 channels. I think Restream allows 31 channels per person. I have 3 channels on my LinkedIn Live, I have my YouTube Live, and my Facebook Live, right? Of course, I'm a LinkedIn guy. But what happens if everyone put out, 3 channels? So if we had 7 people, that would be 21 channels going live at the same time. So that's very powerful. I always call this a mid funnel. It's not a top of funnel. It's not a bottom of the funnel. It's kind of a mid funnel because the actual event is happening. But how do we get to this point of this event happening? We had to do some work and to invite people. And there's a lot of different ways of doing that. But I will say this, that if you're producing content, let me see here. Oh, that's Kevin Jacobs. Okay. If you're producing content on a regular basis, say you produce 3 to 5 pieces of content a week, right? Those pieces of content are like these little bits of goodies, they absorb it. They like it. They get a little bit of a dopamine rush when they see it. They get to know you. These are little bite-sized chunks. These LinkedIn lives are where you close deals. So it's a longer format where people see your face. They understand what you do on a deeper level. They already like you. This is where you can convert. Speaking of converting, Lisa, if anyone is interested in the mastermind that we have twice a week, we have 24 sessions that are happening. I think it's super affordable because my consultation is like $297 an hour. And I think we're giving away the whole mastermind for like $200 for 12 months or something. So if anyone's interested in the mastermind, 2 sessions a week, and you can, reach out to connect anytime, I would go ahead and put the word in the chat, mastermind, and we'll get back to you. And Lisa, if you can, go ahead and put the link in there too. That way we can follow up if you want to chat about it, a little bit later. But having a good mid funnel is very important. It should be part of your strategy. And I always feel that you don't always want to put all your eggs in one basket. You want incoming as well as outgoing, and you want multiple channels to create an omnipresence. And this is probably one of the elements to support your omnipresence. It has, again, long format advantage for people to get to know you. And again, on number 4 there, it says post and reply engagement. All these chats on the LinkedIn Live are going to be there. So if you go to my LinkedIn Live or anyone else's, their chats will be there. My chats will be here. There is opportunity. And I see Shree's been like beating it up right here on this chat. So she's multitasking. I can't multitask like that. So I think her brain is built a little better than mine, where she's engaging. And you can actually engage later as well. And then this is good for email list building. There's third-party tools, or you can do this manually. And gather those people in order to email them to make sure they have reminders, potentially add them to your regular email list. So when I say LinkedIn newsletter, I'm not talking about a separate email list. There's nothing more valuable than a rich email list, because you can reach out to people that want to be reached out to, at a high percentage. So my typical open rate on my email list is about 60 to 70% open rate. My click-through rate's about 2 to 4%. It's a little bit lower, but that is another way of actually engaging with people on their own time. Let's see here. Wow, they need to work this technology out. It's not so painful. Here are a couple of testimonials and stuff. I always add that in there. And this is as far as your profile is concerned, it may be a good idea to use your featured section for this. These are really good people. Jeremy, I talked to him and I just rearranged a few of his things and how he's thinking, how to create SOPs, to some of his business. And he 10x his business. And so there's a couple of words from the clients. You always want the clients to kind of speak for you. And this is the last frame, which is just thank you. It's a link for scheduling a meeting. So Lisa, if you can, go ahead and put my booking link in there. If anyone wants to have a chat, feel free to that. I'm always open. Grab the 20-minute option, if you can. Now, as far as the people in the mastermind, what I do have is a bit of homework. And what I don't expect you guys to do is create your whole profile from beginning to end in a day, because their next session is a Zoom session on Thursday. What I will do is send you that, and there's a couple options on that. I don't know if I got it open right now. Let me see here. I think I shut it down by accident. I have it right here. So we'll just talk about this on the air. And how do I shut the other one down? There you go. All right. So this is too small to read. I was hoping we can have 4 options here. And this is links to the lesson, and there's some information on it, and we'll go ahead and email that to you. And got 4 options for you. I can't even read this here. All right. And I cannot tell you what the options are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to shut everyone out so I can read this, because I wrote this last week.
Troy, I can read them for you if you want.
You can read it? Go for it.
So
Go for it.
I took a 42-inch TV and made it my monitor, so it's bigger. Yeah, so option 1 is identify your value and create your human story as described in slides 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Update your about section. Option 2 is identify your value as described in slides 4, 7, 8, and 9. And update your banner, headline, featured, about experiences. Option 3 is create a LinkedIn newsletter. And option 4 is create a LinkedIn live event.
Awesome. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and email to the internal people. And on Thursday, if whatever you've done, we'll talk through and we'll work it through together. And that's the consultation part. Yeah. So someone mentioned something in the private chat to me. Let me see. Who wrote this? Oh, Bentley. Did you write this, Bentley, the last note? Well, this is actually the first session of the mastermind. We're just including the public. So it's starting now, but people can join at any time, because they'll get these lessons and they'll get the backup, and we'll repeat some of the lessons. So I think on next week internally, we'll pick one of the lessons that kind of make more sense to us. So we won't necessarily go in exact order, because we felt like the profile is very important. One thing I'm going to do right now, I'm going to go through my profile, and I want you guys to critique it, because my style profile for me may be different, and you may have some ideas. So let's spend a few minutes to go through my profile and to touch on those areas that we kind of talked about. I guess you can share my screen here. Well, that didn't work. I'm put again. Okay. Okay, so we'll scroll up here, and I'll explain what we kind of talked about. We told them, of course, this is a LinkedIn banner, but it's it actually shows the LinkedIn Live while we're doing that. We tell them we have a video in here that we can tell them again, and we can view this profile here. And I'll go through my thinking of this. And Hi, I'm Troy Hippolito. I'm known as the not so boring LinkedIn guy. And if you want to have high value clients come to you, then I can help in 3 different areas. First, establish a stellar process. Second, build an unforgettable brand. And third, form deeper relationships with your connections. If you like, feel free to book some time below. I'm always open for a conversation. Thanks a lot. So I did a few things there. I like working in pairs of 3, so I can help you in 3 ways. And I also pointed down to my booking link, and I wanted them to know that you have the ability to do that. So I told them again. So on the banner, I tell them. On the video, I tell them again. On the soundbite, we'll allow you to go to my profile. I click on that. We call that an Easter egg. And we tell them again here. Bring relationships, bring awareness, increase conversions for high value B2B service on multiple channels. And also, go ahead. Someone mentioned something.
Yeah, no, so Troy, so on that, when I see your profile, like when you connect with me, I don't get to see that whole thing. And so probably the big thing I would see when I open that would be build relationships, bring, right? Like I wouldn't be able to see the whole thing. And so it feels like that first little piece when you connect with somebody, you want to give them something to say, hey, like this is who I am or what I do.
You're saying that when you connect with someone, you only see this right here?
Like if you reached out for like if you look over on the side at Lucas, Georgia, and Tonino, right? I help build this business accepting payments, right over there on the right. Or Jonathan, he's a senior analyst.
Oh,
right?
okay.
You see what I'm saying? So when you connect with people, that's what you see is that first little part. And yours says, probably build relationships, bring awareness, increase conversations. It doesn't say I am the LinkedIn master, right? Or something about the not so boring LinkedIn guy.
Yeah, I did have this first, and I moved it back for this information, but I may move it first again. Good point there. If I say the not so boring LinkedIn guy, they get it. They say, oh, he's a LinkedIn guy. I have a LinkedIn issue. I can fix it. Yep. So very good point. Thank you for pointing that out.
And then I might see the not so boring LinkedIn guy build relationships, and now I want to know what the rest of it says, right? Like it'll stop mid-sentence.
Yeah, good point there. Okay, then and so my original idea was actually good then. I was told the opposite, and I said, well, I really wanted to know about the relationship building. And now that you brought that up, because this section right here, a lot of people may not see that information. Good point. Love it. Yeah. So again, I told them again in this section here, you're limited to X amount of characters. I usually try to max it out. That's just my style for SEO stuff. That might not be your style. My contact information is entirely filled out. Hell, you can call me. I won't answer. I won't answer if I don't know the number. But if you text me, I may answer. But it's there. Another thing too is to schedule a quick call, which I talked about in the video. It goes straight to my booking link. And it'll have verifications. It'll have it won't show analytics to you. This is internal, and it has my featured section, which when I do post, I try to have a balance of professional and a little personal, because at the end of the day, you're dealing with people. And so my daughter is really cute, so she's in it, and she's into some of my shots for a good reason, because it builds a connection. It tells them who I am, and to be honest with you, I have a very boring personality. I need, I need other people in there to kind of make things happen. I don't have to be the center of everything. My job is to train you well on LinkedIn. And part of that is to add a little bit of your life in there, so that, again, they can relate to you. So again, I can tell them again in there. And then my activity shows the post. We got, quite a few engagements already on the chats there. And sometimes I'll even do a post to support other people. This is Small Business Awards for women businesses and stuff. And they asked me to do a post on it. So I did, the about section gives you a lot of playroom, and you tell them again, So I kind of run off with starting with a story. I said, you ever looked at LinkedIn and said, what the heck are people doing here? How do they make LinkedIn like a major part of like my strategy? Do I create this? Do I do that? I'm not gonna go read the whole thing. And I say, let me tell you a little story. I tell them a little bit about myself. And at the end, I tell them how bad of a dater I was. And I relate that to my business. So I made my weakness and converted that into a strength because I'm very good in systems. And I said, let me develop a system in order to actually date better for businesses, an old fashioned name, not speed dating, and I get into the bullet points here. So people may want to know, what exactly are you doing? It sounds great and everything. I need some meat on that bone. And this is that meat on that bone there. My experience section right here, you see how we talked about targeting for B2B, CMOs, owners, consultants, agencies in there. And so the titles are going to be SEO driven, and they're going to start matching you more to these people. And I also have visuals as well. I'll suggest to add at least 2 visuals per job. And then another bit of information for SEO, and then you have a job history. This is more of my IT stuff and some fun stuff going on there. Education, projects, and you update that. Skills, got a lot of skills, it looks like. And recommendations. So I have over 51 recommendations. I actually put a document together. It has my recommendations and videos. If people say, what did people say about you? I can send them a whole document. Like, oh, there's a lot of good stuff in there, Publications, I've been in a number of magazines, and I've written for a lot of different magazines over the years, and honors and awards and stuff like that. So this is kind of the breakdown of a fairly successful LinkedIn profile, but my style may not be the same style as yours. Let me cut this.
So Troy, I've got a question for you. So one of the things I do when I open a profile, because you get if you're an older guy, there'll be all these Asian women who are like, there's some kind of a scam where they send you cute pictures and connect. And anyway, so one of the things I first look at is that number of connections, because they'll have like 100 connections or 50 connections.
Am I still sharing the screen?
You are.
How do I turn this thing off?
No, but good to leave it up there. Your 24,000 connections tells me, hey, this is somebody who really, like, if I was talking to a LinkedIn person and they had 500 connections, I'd be like, right, okay, come back and see me when you figure this out. How do you feel like for the rest of everybody else on there, if you're just starting out and you only have like 400 or 500 connections, how much do people pay attention to that?
Well, I would say if you are good at what you do, you should ooze that out. Okay. Your connections, yeah, you'll get there, but all you need is a few people to believe in you. So if you need help building connections, I can definitely do that for my services. But that's not the all and be all. It does help. Once you get to 24, 25,000, it's a one of those checkoff things. But the more important thing is, what are people saying about you? So your profile has to be spot on, because a lot of people are very successful in their field. They're just not successful in LinkedIn, and your profile will show that. So yeah, everything helps. But just because you have one thing that's not perfect, it always can be improved on.
Yeah, I do a lot of networking locally because I want to network in my community face to face. And so I've met a lot of people who are younger, newer to their careers, and they're just finding out about LinkedIn. Oh, do I have to? Because they are more wired to Instagram and things like that. So they look at LinkedIn as kind of a drudgery. So they will not have numbers of connections, and they won't have any strategies around LinkedIn. They also might not necessarily be targeting people in the LinkedIn audience.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Kathy. I would suggest concentrate on two platforms, maybe 70-30 split, right? If LinkedIn is not your jam, is not the area where you're going to generate the most success, maybe it's not for you, you know? I don't push any platform. Like I use multiple systems for generating, but it's not just LinkedIn. You know, I have verification software, I have an email list, so I always believe in figure out where your audience is and then approach that. I will say that Instagram by statistics is the hardest one to grow. And then LinkedIn is the most different because LinkedIn is not a sales derivative platform. It is more of a networking platform. So this is where you got to like dig down and deep and how am I going to provide value for other people? You know, it's not all about entertainment, you know, look at my goldfish, you know, type stuff, you know, cat videos and all that. Although a lot of those do well, they don't. I mean, I would rather have less views on a video that's helpful to a few people that originally converts into business versus eyes. You can have the wrong eyes on you too.
Mhm.
So yeah, go ahead and pick
Yeah.
two and put some effort into which ones that kind of make sense. I don't know anyone here on the group. Um, um, oh, is this Kevin? Oh, that's Kevin. Okay, I don't know the words are. So, anyone in the group that does well on Instagram, maybe they can give some insight on that.
So with Instagram, it's all about, yes, you've got people who will go through your content pretty quickly, but you also have people who are just like LinkedIn and want to hear what you have to say. They want to get to know you. And when it comes to connecting with people, it starts in the comments. Like build a relationship, start commenting on their content, ask questions, the same things
Mhm.
that you'll be learning how to construct a comment that people will respond to, asking questions. You can do that on any platform. And then the only difference is that LinkedIn does not have stories. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok have what's called stories. So when you start building relationships in the comments, then you start building a relationship in their comments. I've been
Mhm.
doing this, and this is how I've been able to book many of my guests. It's through the comments, through the
Mhm.
stories, because a large follower or person who has, like, let's say 100,000 followers may not see your message in their DMs, but they see your
Mhm.
comments, they see your name. Then
Mhm.
one day they start showing up on your posts, and one day they start showing up in your DMs. So
Yeah.
it's all about that long-term game. And you, just anybody who's watching right now, you may not connect with me today, but you might come back and see a post that I have posted, or maybe it's Troy, or maybe it's Kevin, and you might resonate with it, and then you will keep showing up, and then one day you connect. So think of the long game, not the microwave. I got to get it right now. I hope that
Yeah,
makes
this
sense.
is not a speed dating service. It's more of
Mm-mm.
a networking type thing. So if you would engage, this is part of my daily process. I have a daily process sheet. And I'm gonna go ahead and I don't know if I have if anyone wants this say daily process in the chat, and then we'll send it to you in DM. But this is pretty powerful. If you can create a process in 30 minutes or an hour a day and block that time out and be repetitive, you can be really successful. Like, what am I doing today on LinkedIn? And how can I do the most important thing first? And then one of the things that Shri has mentioned was engaging with their post. Well, one of the items that are here are really talking about pre-engagement. And pre-engagement is how do I engage with this person and this person doesn't even know me? And what Shri was saying is exactly right. Um, I just, you engage in their post because if they wrote a post and you looked at it and you liked it and you put a thoughtful comment, is not, hey, that's awesome. It's like 8 words. Come and think of 8 words to say, 8 or more words to say. A thoughtful comment. That means you actually read the post. Most people don't read posts and they don't look at posts, they scan it. So you actually read or viewed properly the post. you can have an intelligent conversation. So you have to have that intelligent conversation. What happens? They like your comment, and if anything, they reply back. Now you get that person's personal attention. What can you do with that? Well, if you engaged in 2 posts a week, you could send them an invite and say, I love the post about A, B, and C. Would it make sense to connect? And your acceptance rate from your 15, 30% has moved all the way to 85%. And not only has it moved 85%, you have moved the relationship down the line, which is what you want. And so this is a daily process. Feel free to request it. There's videos in there as well. And the idea is just take away what you don't want to do that day. It's a Monday to Friday, and then add what you do want to do and block it on your calendar. And that's the door prize for today. One other thing we're going to do is we're going to give away an hour of consultation to someone in the chat. And so we'll randomly pick that. And that's a $297 value. That's kind of what I charge an hour anyway.
Hey, Troy, I don't know if you saw it. Nicole had a question about how effective LinkedIn sales tools such as Sales Navigator are for generating leads.
Oh, yeah. Some people say you don't need it. I say it's a must. But I'll tell you one thing about Sales Navigator. If you're doing business on Sales Navigator, all my clients have it. I won't work with them without it because they have specific filters in there where I need to make sure that the people that I'm searching for on LinkedIn are the most narrow band ideal prospects. So one thing I look for is, are they active? Because if they're not active, they're probably not going to see my DMs, So how do you tell if they're active? Well, one indicator is to see if they post, and so they're a little more likely. And then I have to figure out, well, who really needs my help? What type of personality, where they're at in life? Sales Navigator has actually some of those things. So for me, the people that are in the hot seat are the ones that have experience, 6 to 10 years and more experience, but started a new company within 2 years. You got to think about that. And they're within my categories as well. So I may target like coaches and IT company, whatever it is, but those people have started this company and they need to grow it. So, and within 2 years, it's either grow or it's close the doors. And if they're feeling that pain, it's more likely they will say, yes, I want to work with you. I want to prime those right people. So personally, if you know how to use Sales Navigator and you're using it as a prospecting and networking tool, I would say yes. Technically, you don't have to use it. There's a search on LinkedIn allows you to do a certain amount of searches. You can go in that direction. But I know Sales Navigator fairly well, and so that's what I do, and that's what I have my clients stick to. Any other?
I was going to say this is going to be a little bit more advanced question on Sales Navigator, and we might get to it later. Do you build account lists and then search for leads against those lists? So, for example, you can say, I only want companies that are $500,000 to $2.5 million, and you can't do that in the leads list, but you can do it in the account list.
Well, you can do it that way, or you could, depending on the version of Sales Navigator you have, you can search for those people that are primed, most likely making that kind of money within the company. So based on company size. So you can roughly estimate based on employees about how much they should be making. And then you can create a search. And then from there on, you can hand pick it and create a list. That's how I would do it. I would even go as far as get a third-party software, hook it up with LinkedIn Sales Navigator, the advanced one that allows you to download and upload stuff, and run it against another software to verify their earnings.
Okay.
Yeah. That's what I would do anyway. Yeah. Any other questions? I think on the private chat, there was something in here. Let's see here.
I didn't see any other questions.
Yes. I will send you the deck and daily process. Everyone will get it in the private. And oh yeah, because you can't chat. That's a good point, Kathy. You can't type in the chat unless you're on the LinkedIn Live. Yeah. All right. So oh, thanks, Jordan. Appreciate that. We got some people that are really helping us out here. They're really cheering us on. Does anyone have any other questions on the LinkedIn, your LinkedIn profile? Awesome. Well, unless there's any other questions, we're already 11 past the hour. I think it's a good time to go ahead and close out this session. For the paid mastermind group, we have a meeting Tuesday. You should already be on the calendar invite. If not, I'll double check to make sure that Lisa adds you in there, and we'll send you your homework. You can pick between options 1 and 4, and we'll go through it, and we'll keep it as an open session to help you complete some of your goals. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day. And I'll go ahead and drop off.